And you know, I tell this all the time, the word unpredictable. We have to be unpredictable, folks. Our military is totally predictable. Obama gets up, we will leave Iraq, and he gives a date. We're going to have an unpredictable country. You know, I get criticized because I say unpredictable. The enemy turns out to be 10 times tougher than we thought because they know our plan. We have to be unpredictable, folks. We have to be unpredictable. We're too predictable.
Don't you long for those days of the campaign? Welcome back to the 11th hour. As you just saw, specifically on foreign policy, use of U.S. military overseas, candidate Trump promised more than once to be unpredictable. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer's version of the same thing, quote, "We're not going to telegraph what we're going to do," has been used on a host of foreign policy issues over these last 12 weeks, including just this Tuesday when he was talking about North Korea.
The president's been very clear when he's negotiating or dealing with an issue like this, you don't telegraph to people how you're going to handle it. We don't telegraph what we're going to do. I think he has been very clear that he will not tolerate some of this action by North Korea. But he's also, to answer your question, I think I've said this before on a variety of topics. The president is not one who's going to go out there and telegraph his response. I think he keeps all options on the table. He keeps his cards close to the vest.
The same day that was said, the president said on Twitter, quote, "North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them. USA." We're back with Ambassador Nancy Soderberg, David Sanger, Gordon Chang, and Barry McCaffrey. Ambassador, is unpredictable a foreign policy?
No. And I think the concern here, particularly with the Syria strike, is, well, the Syria strike has broad support. No one knows whether there's a plan to back it up. It's fine to be unpredictable and not show your cards, but you got to have a plan. I think that's the big question with this president. What does, what goes with these military actions? Military actions alone don't work. You have to marry force and diplomacy. That's the prescription for success. And he's got time to do it. On North Korea, he's asked for options, the full range of options, and I think he needs to have a deliberate discussion of those and a plan. He can keep his cards to his vest, but what's causing some concern among foreign policy experts is not a lot of assurances that there's a real strategy that's going with some of these military actions. He's got time to get them, but we want to see a little bit more on the planning side to accompany some of these actions.
David, Americans heard him say, who knew health care was this complicated? The world heard him say about China and North Korea, it's not so easy, it's not what you'd think. He was briefed on that history by the president of China. My question to you is how much, and we talked about this with Andrea Mitchell a little bit, how much of the mechanism of foreign policy, the State Department, is not there, is missing?
Oh, most of it's missing. The only confirmed person at the State Department right now is the Secretary of State and a holdover, Tom Shannon, who's been acting as the undersecretary. The rest of the assistant secretaries, undersecretaries, all of that expertise is not there. Career people are there. It's not clear how much they're being listened to. I wanted to relate that, though, to the question of unpredictability when it comes to North Korea. Yes, you want to be unpredictable with your adversaries, and you want to be highly predictable to your allies. Mm-hmm. And it's the unpredictability that is so worrying right now to the South Koreans and the Japanese, because the North Koreans don't have a missile yet that can reach the United States. They're working on it, but they don't have it. They have plenty that can reach South Korea and that can reach Japan and our troops there. And of course, they have artillery batteries that General McCaffrey can describe better than I can, that are just over the northern edge of the DMZ and that could wipe out Seoul without using any nuclear weapons at all. So the South Koreans are saying to President Trump, hey, slow down, because any decision you make could end up being taken out on us. Now, I've been told in recent days, including today, that even if they do a nuclear test in the next few days, the Americans probably will not respond in a military manner. They will use the method, they will use the moment to try to truly clamp down on North Korea's economy, or what's left of it, which is mostly through China, as we've discussed. And they may also increase their anti-missile capability there, which the fleet that's moving up has got some Aegis cruisers on it as well. But I don't think you're going to see an immediate move, because it's simply, as Gordon said before, not as easy as dropping the mother of all bombs in a remote part of a distant land.
Gordon, what worries you tonight?
Well, I guess there are irreconcilable differences among the parties involved: the United States, China, North Korea. And as you have, the South Koreans are in a state of political flux with the impeachment crisis. They're going to have a by-election on May 9th. And that really gives Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader, maybe an opening to cause trouble in a non-kinetic way. It's going to be very difficult for the United States to respond. And, you know, essentially, 4 years from now, the North Koreans will have a missile that will reach the lower 48 states. It'll have a nuclear weapon at the tip of it. That's not very long, and we don't have very much time to figure that out.
General McCaffrey, you get the last word. God forbid it ever becomes germane to our conversation, but remind the folks watching at home, what do we mean when we say a carrier battle group? How much defensive firepower is included in what is now, what, 300-400 miles off the coast?
Well, that carrier strike group has a considerable amount of firepower to carry out a preemptive strike and try and get at some of the nuke devices. There's a lot more weapons in South Korea with the South Korean Army and our own forces. There's B-52s backing all this up on Guam. But I think this leads us in the wrong direction. We're not going to conduct a preemptive strike on North Korea to go after their nukes this weekend. It's not going to happen. The South Koreans will not sign up on it. It would be a disaster. By the way, Ryan, we know we can take apart the North Korean armed forces probably in 180 days. It's primitive. The air power is zero. The Navy, we got to get their subs before they get out of port, but basically it's an easy job. But it's a humanitarian disaster in South Korea, and probably would include engaging Japan. So that's not going to happen. What is going to happen is, and the North Koreans are not giving up their nuclear weapons. So we've got diplomatic, economic leverage, covert action, and we better build a serious ballistic missile defense system in the region. And I think a lot of that's underway. THAAD's going in now. PAC-3 Patriot missile is there. Navy Aegis air defense, SAM-3 is there. But I think we're going to have to wait these people out. We're not going to take out their nukes.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.